Threx's ground invasion began at dawn on the third day. Massive Vorthak dropships descended through Earth's atmosphere, carrying thousands of alien soldiers. The war commander was certain that once his troops were on the ground, the humans would see the hopelessness of their situation and surrender. He was wrong again. Major Wu Jin Han watched the enemy ships land outside New Seoul through his rifle scope. He commanded a battalion of Earth Defense Marines, soldiers who had trained their entire lives for this moment. Wait for them to deploy, he told his troops through their communication system. Let them think they have a safe landing zone. The Vorthak soldiers marched out of their ships in perfect formation. They were tall, powerful beings with thick armor and energy weapons. Their commander, a veteran named Gorax, had conquered cities on a dozen worlds. These humans will break easily, he told his officers. Look at their cities. So soft, so peaceful. They have forgotten how to fight real wars. The first surprise came when Gorax's troops tried to advance into the city. The streets themselves fought back. Hidden weapons emerged from buildings. Sewers became tunnels for human soldiers to move unseen. Even the traffic lights had been turned into surveillance systems. Contact! Contact! Vorthak soldiers shouted as human marines appeared from everywhere at once. What had seemed like empty streets became a maze of crossfire and explosions. Major Han led his troops in a fighting retreat, drawing the aliens deeper into the urban battleground. Every building had been prepared for this invasion. Every block was a trap waiting to spring. These humans fight like demons, reported a Vorthak squad leader. They know every corner, every hiding place. We cannot advance. Above the battle, Dr. Yoonji Lim worked frantically in her laboratory. She had been studying captured Vorthak weapons since the first day of fighting. Now she was ready to test her latest creation. The quantum disruptor is ready for field testing, she reported to Admiral Hyunwoo Kim. If it works, it should disable their energy shields. How sure are you? 70%. But we need to try something. Their ground forces are heavily armored. Our normal weapons barely scratch them. Captain Seung-ho Nam commanded Earth's mobile defense fleet. His ships moved constantly, never staying in one place long enough for the Vorthak to target them effectively. He had been waiting for this moment. Deploy the quantum disruptors, Hyunwoo ordered. Target the landing zones. Seung-ho's ships fired the new weapons at the Vorthak ground forces. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Enemy soldiers who had seemed invincible suddenly found their armor failing, their weapons shutting down. What is happening? Gorax demanded as his troops began falling to human weapons that had been useless before. Unknown energy weapon, sir, his technical officer replied. It's disrupting all our systems. Major Han saw the enemy shields failing and immediately ordered his troops forward. Now, hit them while their defenses are down. The tide of the ground battle turned in minutes. Vorthak soldiers who had been advancing confidently were now retreating in panic. Their superior technology meant nothing if it did not work. Back in space, Captain Mi-young Kang continued her stealth attacks on the enemy fleet. Her invisible ship had become a legend among the Vorthak crews. They called it the Ghost Death and feared its appearance. Another supply ship destroyed. Sir, reported Krex to Threx. That makes 12 vessels we've lost to their stealth attacks. Threx was becoming desperate. Nothing was going according to plan. His ground invasion was failing. His fleet was being picked apart by invisible enemies, and now his scouts were reporting something that terrified him. Sir, long-range sensors detect multiple fleets approaching our position. Large formations moving at maximum speed. Whose fleets? Human, sir. Dozens of them coming from all directions. For the first time since the battle began, Threx felt real fear. He had thought he was fighting one isolated planet. Instead, he had attacked the homeworld of a species that had spread across hundreds of star systems. On Earth, Communications Officer Commander Jae-sung Choi monitored the approaching reinforcements. Every human colony in known space was sending help. Some fleets would take days to arrive, but others were already close. The Tau Ceti fleet will arrive in 6 hours, he reported. The Alpha Centauri group is 12 hours out. The Mars Defense Force is already in our outer system. Dr. So-Young Park had been studying Vorthak communications traffic, looking for weaknesses in their command structure. What she found was very interesting. Their entire military system depends on rigid hierarchy, she explained to the command staff. Every decision has to go up the chain of command and back down. If we can disrupt their communications, their forces will be paralyzed. How do we do that? Target their command ships, but not to destroy them. If we can capture one, we might be able to hack into their communication network. This gave Admiral Kim an idea. "Mi Young," he called Captain Kang. "I have a special mission for you." Her stealth destroyer approached the largest Vorthak command ship carefully. Instead of weapons, this time she carried a boarding team led by Colonel Tae-min Yoon. Their job was to capture the ship's communication center. The attack came without warning. One moment the Vorthak ship was secure. The next it was full of human soldiers appearing like ghosts in the corridors. Colonel Yoon's Special Forces team moved through the ship with deadly efficiency. "Communication center secured," he reported. "Their encryption is more advanced than we expected, but we're working on it." The effect on the Vorthak fleet was immediate. Ships began losing contact with each other. Orders became confused. Some vessels even started firing on their own allies by mistake. "What is happening to our fleet?" Threx demanded. "The humans have somehow infiltrated our communication network," Krex reported. "Half our ships cannot receive orders. The others are getting false information." On the planet's surface, Major Han watched Vorthak ground forces fall into complete confusion. Without coordination from their ships, the alien soldiers did not know whether to advance, retreat, or hold their positions. "Push forward," he ordered his Marines. "Drive them back to their landing zones." The Vorthak retreat became a rout. Soldiers who had conquered many worlds found themselves running from human defenders who seemed to know their every move. Dr. Lim's quantum disruptors continued to wreak havoc on alien technology. Every time the Vorthak tried to reorganize their forces, their equipment would suddenly stop working. But the real shock came when the first human reinforcement fleet arrived. Admiral Young Soo Bei's colonial defense fleet dropped out of hyperspace with guns blazing. His ships had traveled for days at maximum speed to reach Earth in time. "This is Admiral Bei to Earth Command," came his voice over the communication system. "The cavalry has arrived." Threx watched in horror as fresh human ships tore into his already damaged fleet. These were not the simple cargo vessels he had expected. They were real warships designed for combat and crewed by people who wanted revenge for the attack on their homeworld. "Sir, we need to withdraw," Krex urged. "We cannot fight all of humanity at once." "No," Threx roared. "We will not retreat. Call for reinforcements from the Empire. We will crush these humans if it takes our entire fleet." It was the worst decision he could have made. By calling for help, he was admitting to his superiors that a single planet had stopped the mighty Vorthak Empire. But more importantly, he was escalating a conflict that would soon spiral beyond anyone's control. As night fell over the battlefield, the humans had won their first major victories. But everyone knew this was just the beginning. Threx would bring more ships, more soldiers, more weapons. The question was whether humanity could stand against the full might of the Vorthak Empire when it finally arrived. The first Vorthak ships moved toward Earth like giant metal spears. Supreme War Commander Threx watched from his flagship, expecting to see panic and chaos below. Instead, something impossible happened. The planet fought back. Hidden weapons platforms rose from the ocean depths, their massive guns tracking the incoming ships. What had looked like innocent space stations suddenly revealed rows of missile launchers. Even the communication satellites began firing energy beams. "Impossible!" Threx roared. "Our intelligence said they had no real defenses." His tactical officer, a younger Vorthak named Krex, stared at the readings. "Sir, we're detecting over 500 defensive positions. Our ships are taking heavy fire." The first wave of Vorthak fighters approached Earth's atmosphere and ran into a wall of destruction. Colonel Tae-min Yoon, leading the orbital defense teams, watched the enemy ships explode one after another. "Target their command vessels," he ordered his gunners. "Make them think twice about this attack." Below on Earth's surface, Commander Inho activated weapons systems that had been hidden for decades. What looked like normal buildings opened up to reveal massive railguns. Factory complexes transformed into missile bases. Even some office towers were actually disguised weapons platforms. "Sir, we have firing solutions on their main fleet," reported Captain Mi Young Kang from her stealth destroyer. Her ship was invisible to Vorthak sensors, allowing her to get close to their larger vessels. "Take out their communication ship first," Admiral Hyun-woo Kim ordered from the command center. "Blind them." Mi Young's ship fired a spread of quantum torpedoes. The explosions lit up space as the Vorthak communication vessel broke apart. Suddenly, the alien fleet lost coordination between their ships. Threx could not believe what he was seeing. His tactical displays showed Vorthak ships being destroyed faster than he could count them. These humans were supposed to be weak traders and diplomats. How did they have such powerful weapons? "Sir," Krex called out, "we've lost contact with assault groups 2 and 7. The humans have some kind of stealth ships picking off our vessels." "Where did they get this technology?" Threx demanded. On Earth, Dr. So-Young Park was asking herself similar questions about the enemy. She studied the wreckage of destroyed Vorthak ships, looking for weaknesses. "Their armor is strong, but it has gaps near the engine sections," she reported to Hyunwoo. "If we can hit them there, we can disable their larger ships without destroying them completely." "Why would we want to capture them instead of destroying them?" "Because we need to study their technology, and because prisoners might tell us about their empire's weak points." The battle raged for 6 hours. The Vorthak had expected to control Earth's orbit within 1 hour. Instead, they found themselves fighting a desperate battle just to survive. Threx finally pulled his remaining ships back to a safer distance. He had lost over 100 vessels, including 3 of his heavy cruisers. The humans had lost some platforms and ships, but far fewer than he had expected. "How is this possible?" he asked his science officer. "Our scouts reported that Earth had minimal defenses. Sir, it appears they were hiding their true military capability. These weapons platforms were disguised as civilian structures. Their ships look like cargo vessels, but they carry military-grade weapons." Threx's yellow eyes burned with rage. No species had ever caused him such losses in a first attack. The humans had somehow hidden their true strength from Vorthak intelligence. On Earth, emergency meetings were taking place in underground bunkers. The first attack had been stopped, but everyone knew the Vorthak would be back with a different strategy. "They're regrouping," reported Captain Dong-Hyun Lee. "Our sensors show they're bringing up heavier ships from the back of their fleet." "What about casualties?" asked Ambassador Ji-Hai Choi. "Light, considering what we faced," Hyunwoo replied. "We lost 12 orbital platforms and 37 ships, but we took down over twice that number of their vessels. The important thing is that we proved we can hurt them," added Colonel Yoon. "They thought this would be easy. Now they know they're in for a real fight." Dr. Park had been analyzing the battle recordings. "I think I understand their strategy now. They use overwhelming force to create fear. When enemies surrender quickly, they don't have to fight long battles. But they're not used to fighting determined opponents. What does that mean for us? It means they'll probably try different tactics now. Maybe target civilian areas to break our will to fight." She was right. Threx was already planning his next move. If direct military assault would not work quickly, he would make the humans suffer until they begged for mercy. "Target their population centers," he ordered. "Destroy their cities. Make them watch their people die. Then they will surrender." "Sir, our intelligence suggests that attacking civilians might make them fight harder, not surrender," Krex warned. "Nonsense. Fear works on all species. When they see their homes burning, they will give up." This was Threx's biggest mistake. He did not understand humans at all. When the second wave of attacks began, targeting major cities, something unexpected happened. Instead of breaking human morale, the attacks on civilians made every person on Earth angry. Factory workers who had been making civilian goods switched to building weapons. Retired soldiers picked up arms again. Even children helped by carrying supplies and messages. Commander Seo watched the production reports with amazement. "Sir, weapons production has increased by 300% in the last 12 hours. People are working around the clock. What about the civilian evacuation? That's the strange part. Most people are refusing to leave. They say they want to stay and fight for their homes." On the orbital stations, Colonel Yoon saw the same spirit among his crews. People who had been injured in the first attack were refusing medical leave. They wanted to get back to their weapons and keep fighting. "I've never seen anything like it," he told Hyunwoo. "The harder the enemy hits us, the more determined our people become." Captain Kang was preparing for another stealth mission when she received a message from her home city. Her family was safe, but their neighborhood had been damaged in the attacks. "I'm going to make them pay for that," she told her crew. Her stealth destroyer moved through space like a ghost, hunting for high-value Vorthak targets. Meanwhile, deep in space, something was happening that Threx did not know about. Human colonies throughout the galaxy had received Admiral Kim's emergency signal. Fleet after fleet was heading toward Earth. The Vorthak commander thought he was fighting just one planet. He was about to learn that he had declared war on all of humanity. As the second day of battle ended, Threx looked at his casualty reports and felt the first touch of doubt. His empire had conquered many worlds, but never had any species fought back with such determination. Perhaps we should call for reinforcements, suggested Krex. No, Threx snarled. We will break them ourselves. Send down the ground assault teams. If we cannot destroy them from space, we will take their planet by force. He did not know that this decision would lead to even greater disasters for his forces. The morning sun cast long shadows across Earth's capital city when the alien ships appeared. Admiral Hyunwoo Kim was drinking his coffee and reading reports when his communication device started screaming warnings. He dropped the cup and ran to the command center. How many ships? He asked his aide, Captain Donghyun Lee. Sensors show 300 vessels, sir. They're massive. Much bigger than anything we've seen before. Hyunwoo stared at the screens. The ships hung in space like dark metal clouds blocking out stars. Each one was the size of a city. He had fought in space battles before, but nothing like this. Any communication from them? Yes, sir. They want to speak with Earth's leaders. All of them. Within 2 hours, every world leader sat in the emergency council chamber. Ambassador Ji-Hai Choi represented Earth in galactic affairs. Dr. So-Young Park, their best expert on alien species, sat beside her. The room felt heavy with worry. The main screen flickered to life. An alien face appeared. It looked like a cross between a lizard and a shark, with rows of sharp teeth and cold yellow eyes. When it spoke, its voice was like grinding metal. I am Supreme War Commander Threx of the Vorthak Empire. Your planet will surrender to us. You have 72 hours to decide. Ji-Hai stood up. We are peaceful people. Earth serves as neutral ground for many species. Why do you want to attack us? Threx laughed, a horrible sound. Because you are weak. You spend your time talking and trading instead of fighting. Your planet sits at the center of trade routes we need. We have conquered 17 star systems. Earth will be the 18th. What if we refuse? Hyunwoo asked. Then we will destroy every city, every ship, every human in this system. We will leave nothing but dust. Threx's eyes seemed to burn through the screen. You have seen what happened to the Kepler colony. They refused us too. Everyone in the room knew about Kepler colony. The Vorthak had turned a thriving world of 2 billion people into a dead rock. No survivors. 72 hours, Threx repeated. Surrender or die. The screen went black. Silence filled the room. Finally, the Earth president spoke. Options? We could evacuate, suggested the Asian Union representative. Get as many people off-world as possible. Where would they go? Asked the African Federation leader. The Vorthak control half the galaxy now. They would just hunt us down. So-Young pulled up her research files. I've studied Vorthak tactics. They always demand surrender first. It's part of their culture. They believe showing overwhelming force will make enemies give up without fighting. Has it worked? Hyunwoo asked. Every time. No species has ever said no to them. Ji-Hai looked around the room. Then maybe it's time someone did. Over the next day, panic spread across Earth. News of the ultimatum leaked despite government efforts to keep it quiet. People fled cities thinking the countryside might be safer. Others gathered in religious buildings to pray. Some just sat in their homes waiting. But not everyone was afraid. In hidden military bases, old soldiers cleaned weapons they had not touched in years. Factory workers stayed at their jobs, building things the public did not know about. Scientists worked without sleep, preparing technologies they had hoped never to use. Hyunwoo spent the time reviewing Earth's real defenses. Most people thought Earth was protected by just a few orbital stations and some patrol ships. They were wrong. For 100 years, humanity had been preparing for this day. Show me the hidden fleet status, he told Donghyun. Numbers filled the screen, ships built in secret, weapons platforms disguised as mining stations, soldiers who trained for war while the galaxy thought Earth was peaceful, the asteroid belt installations. All ready, sir. The mining companies have been good cover. We have enough firepower there to stop most fleets. And the civilian ships, every cargo vessel, passenger liner, and transport can be converted for military use within 6 hours. The crews have been training for this scenario. So-Young found him there at midnight before the deadline. Are we really going to fight them? Look at this. Hyunwoo showed her the intelligence reports. The Vorthak enslave every species they conquer. They use them as workers until they die. Then they take the children and turn them into soldiers. I know. I've read the reports from refugees. then you know we cannot let them win. Even if we all die fighting, it's better than becoming their slaves. The final day arrived. Threx appeared on the screens again, his yellow eyes full of confidence. Your time is up. What is your answer? Jihai had been chosen to speak for all humanity. She stood straight and looked directly at the alien commander. The people of Earth reject your ultimatum. We will never surrender our freedom to you or anyone else. For a moment, Threx said nothing. His mouth opened slightly, showing those terrible teeth. You refuse? Do you understand what this means? Yes, it means we fight. Threx's face twisted with rage. You stupid creatures! Do you think your little planet can stand against the might of the Vorthak Empire? We have crushed civilizations with fleets 10 times larger than yours. Maybe, Jihai said calmly. But those civilizations were not human. In 1 hour, we will begin the attack. When your cities burn and your people scream, remember that you chose this. The screen went dark again. Hyunwoo activated the planetary defense network. All across Earth, hidden systems came online. Weapons platforms rose from beneath the ocean. Orbital stations powered up weapons that had been disguised as communication arrays. Ships that looked like civilian transport suddenly bristled with missile launchers. Send the message to all human colonies, he ordered. Code Phoenix. Full response authorized. Donghyun nodded. Message sent, sir. Fleet commanders across human space are mobilizing. So Young monitored the enemy fleet. They're moving into attack formation. 3 groups. Looks like they plan to hit major population centers first. Let them come, Hyunwoo said quietly. It's time they learned what happens when you threaten humanity's home. Above Earth, the Vorthak ships began their descent, confident of easy victory. They had no idea that the peaceful planet below was about to show them the true meaning of human resistance. The war for Earth was about to begin. Emperor Drakthos stared at the datapad containing humanity's terms. Everything they demanded would destroy his empire as it existed. No more conquest, no more slaves, no more fear-based rule. It would mean the end of everything his people had built over centuries. I need time to consider this, he said finally. Admiral Tae-sung shook his head. There is no time, Your Majesty. Every day your empire continues, more people suffer. More worlds are conquered. More lives are destroyed. You will decide now. The Emperor felt anger rising in his chest. How dare these humans pressure him like this? He was the ruler of a mighty empire. No one gave him ultimatums. No, he said, standing up. I will not surrender my empire to a species of former slaves. We may not win, but we will not bow to humans. The 3 humans looked sad but not surprised. President Jae-min spoke quietly. We hoped you would choose differently, Your Majesty. But we prepared for this possibility. You cannot defeat the entire empire with one ship, the Emperor said angrily. We have thousands of vessels, millions of soldiers, secret weapons you know nothing about, such as your planet killer, General Yu-jin asked calmly. The Emperor's face went pale. The planet killer was the Empire's most secret weapon. How did they know about it? Yes, Admiral Tae-sung said, reading his expression. We know about your ultimate weapon. We have been monitoring it for years. If you choose to use it, you will discover that it is not as ultimate as you believe. Emperor Drakthos felt desperation creeping into his mind. These humans seemed to know everything about his empire, while he knew almost nothing about theirs. But he still had one card left to play. I reject your terms, he declared, and I will show you what happens to those who threaten the Valdarian Empire. 3 hours later, Emperor Drakthos stood in the command center of the Empire's secret military station. The planet-killer weapon hung in space like a massive metal moon. It was the size of a small planet itself, powered by the cores of dead stars. No defense had ever withstood its beam. Target Earth, the Emperor ordered. Maximum power. Your Majesty, the station commander said nervously. Are you certain? If we fire on Earth while you are here. The diplomatic shuttle can reach minimum safe distance in time, the Emperor said. Fire the weapon. Target locked, the weapons officer reported. Planet killer charging to full power. Firing in 60 seconds, the Emperor smiled grimly. Let the humans try to stop this. The planet killer had destroyed 12 worlds that had rebelled against the Empire. Its beam could crack continents and boil oceans. Even if the humans had superior ships, they could not protect their entire world from such power. Weapon fired, the officer announced. A beam of pure destruction raced toward Earth at nearly the speed of light. The Emperor watched the tactical display with satisfaction. In less than an hour, the human homeworld would be a lifeless rock. Then he would see how confident Admiral Taesung felt. The beam reached Earth and struck the planet's defensive perimeter, and stopped. The Emperor blinked his 3 eyes rapidly. What happened? Did the weapon malfunction? No, sir, the weapons officer said in confusion. The beam is functioning perfectly. But it stopped. Something is absorbing all the energy. On the main screen, they could see the incredible sight. The planet killer's beam, which had destroyed worlds, was being absorbed by Earth's defenses as if it were nothing more than sunlight. Worse, the energy was being collected and redirected somewhere else. Sir, the sensor operator called out, I am detecting energy buildup around Earth. They are doing something with our weapon's power. What happened next would be remembered in galactic history forever. The energy from the planet killer, instead of destroying Earth, was converted into something else entirely. Across the galaxy, above every major Valdarian world, human ships appeared as if from nowhere. But these were not the small ships that had disabled the patrol fleet. These were massive vessels, each one larger than anything the Empire had ever built. They appeared simultaneously above Nexus Prime, above the industrial world of Krek 7, above the military headquarters at Vorthen Station. Sir, the communications officer said in a shaking voice, we are receiving a transmission from Earth. Put it through, the Emperor ordered, though he already knew what he would hear. Captain Minho of the human dreadnought Soul's Pride appeared on the screen. His voice was calm but carried the weight of absolute authority. Emperor Drakthos, you have made your choice. Earth Command has authorized Operation Clean Sweep. All Valdarian military assets will now be disabled. You cannot do this to our entire empire, the Emperor shouted. We already are, Captain Minho replied. What followed was not a battle. It was a demonstration of power so complete that resistance seemed pointless. Across every Valdarian world, every military base, every weapon platform, every ship of war simply stopped functioning. The process was the same everywhere. Human ships would appear, release swarms of small craft, and then watch as Valdarian military technology was carefully dismantled. No civilians were harmed. No cities were damaged. But every symbol of Imperial military might was neutralized in a matter of hours. On Nexus Prime, Admiral Torkhan sat in his darkened office and watched reports flood in from across the Empire. Fleet Headquarters reports all systems offline. Planetary defense grid is not responding. All military vessels are dead in space. In less than 6 hours, the Valdarian Empire's military simply ceased to exist, not destroyed, but switched off like a machine whose power had been cut. The Emperor returned to his palace to find human ships in orbit around his capital world. He was met by Engineer Sujin, a young woman who had been assigned to oversee the transition. Your Majesty, she said politely. My name is Sujin. I am here to help your people adjust to the new situation. What new situation? The Emperor asked bitterly. The Valdarian Empire as a military power no longer exists. Your ships will not fly, your weapons will not fire, and your communications work only as we permit. However, your people are free to continue living normal lives. The Emperor looked around his throne room. His guards' weapons were useless. His communication devices would only work if the humans allowed it. He was still called Emperor, but he ruled nothing. What happens to me? He asked. That depends on you, Sujin said kindly. If you help us transition your people to a peaceful society, you can continue to be their leader. If you try to restart the war, you will be removed and replaced with someone more reasonable. Over the following months, Engineer Sujin and thousands of other humans worked to transform the former Valdarian Empire. Enslaved populations were freed and given ships to return home. Conquered worlds were offered independence or membership in the Solar Federation. The Valdarians themselves were taught new technologies and new ways of living. It was not easy. Many Valdarians were angry about losing their empire. Some tried to resist, but they quickly learned that resistance was pointless. The humans had technology that could shut down any weapon, stop any ship, and track any movement. More importantly, the humans offered something the Empire never had: hope. Former slave worlds that joined the Solar Federation received advanced technology, medical care, and educational opportunities. Even the Valdarians, once they accepted the new reality, found that cooperation brought them more prosperity than conquest ever had. Emperor Drakthos, now called Citizen Drakthos, lived in a small apartment on a human world. He spent his days writing his memoirs and thinking about the lessons he had learned. In his final entry, he wrote, "We believed we were the strongest force in the galaxy. We were wrong. We were simply the loudest bullies in a very small playground. The humans taught us that true strength does not come from the ability to destroy, but from the wisdom to protect and build. We thought power meant making others fear you. The humans showed us that real power means making others trust you. We spent centuries conquering worlds. They spent centuries connecting them. The galaxy is a better place now. Even we Valdarians, though it took us time to admit it, are happier and more prosperous than we ever were as conquerors. We learned that there is more joy in building one school than in burning 1,000 cities." 20 years after the fall of the Valdarian Empire, the phrase "unknown human ship, our fleet is gone," had become a popular saying across the galaxy. It was used whenever someone thought they were strong, only to discover they had seriously misjudged the situation. The former Valdarian worlds were now peaceful members of the Solar Federation. Their children learned about cooperation instead of conquest. Their scientists worked on healing damaged worlds instead of building better weapons. And somewhere in space, human ships continued their quiet patrol of the galaxy, watching for the next empire that thought it could rule through fear. Because now everyone knew the truth that the Valdarians had learned too late. In a universe where humans were the guardians, aggression did not pay. But cooperation brought rewards beyond imagination. The galaxy had learned to live in peace not because they were forced to, but because they had seen what peace could accomplish when protected by those strong enough to enforce it. And Earth, that small blue world the Valdarians had once thought they conquered, continued to spin peacefully in space, home to beings who had turned the art of war into the science of peace. 2 weeks after the first attack, space around Earth looked like a massive graveyard. Wrecked ships from both sides drifted in the darkness. But for every human vessel destroyed, 3 Vorthak ships floated dead in space. Threx had called for reinforcements, and they had come. The Vorthak Second Fleet arrived with twice as many ships as the original invasion force. Their commander, Admiral Vex, was known throughout the Empire as the Planet Breaker. But something had changed. This was no longer just Earth fighting alone. Lieutenant He Jin Kwan piloted her fighter through the debris field, hunting enemy scouts. Her squadron was part of the new combined human fleet, made up of ships from 40 different colonies. Each pilot had volunteered to defend humanity's homeworld. "Contact bearing 270, reported her wingman. 3 Vorthak interceptors." "I see them," He-Jin replied. Her fighter was equipped with the new hybrid weapons that Dr. Yoonji Lim's team had developed. They used captured Vorthak technology improved with human engineering. The dogfight was brief and brutal. The Vorthak pilots were skilled, but they had never faced weapons that combined the best of both technologies. All 3 enemy fighters were destroyed in less than 2 minutes. "This is Kwan's squadron reporting 3 kills, He-Jin announced. "No friendly casualties." Admiral Youngsu Bei commanded the largest human fleet ever assembled. Ships from every corner of human space had answered Earth's call. Veterans and rookies, military vessels, and converted civilian ships, all united by the determination to protect their homeworld. "Status report," he requested from his flagship bridge. 750 human ships ready for battle, reported his tactical officer. "The Vorthak have approximately 1,000 vessels, but they're scattered across 3 separate formations." "Perfect. We'll use their own tactics against them. Divide and conquer." On Earth's surface, the war had become a nightmare for the Vorthak ground forces. Major Wu Jin Han's Marines had learned to fight like ghosts, appearing from tunnels and sewers to strike at enemy positions before vanishing again. The aliens controlled only their landing zones. Everything else belonged to the humans. Vorthak soldiers needed constant supply drops just to survive, and every supply run cost them more ships. "We cannot hold these positions," reported Gorax to his superiors. "The humans know this terrain better than we know our own ship corridors. They attack us day and night, then disappear before we can respond." Commander Jae-Sung Choi had been busy with intelligence operations. His teams had captured several Vorthak communication centers, giving humans access to enemy plans and troop movements. "We're intercepting most of their communications now," he reported to Admiral Hyun-Woo Kim. "They're getting frustrated. Some of their commanders are arguing with each other about strategy." "What kind of arguments?" "Threx wants to keep attacking Earth directly. Admiral Vex thinks they should retreat and come back with even more ships. Their supply commanders are saying they cannot maintain such a large fleet this far from their territory. This intelligence proved crucial. Dr. So-Young Park had been studying Fourth Act psychology and military doctrine. She believed their rigid command structure could be turned against them. They cannot adapt quickly to changing situations, she explained. If we keep doing unexpected things, their command system will break down. Admiral Kim decided to test this theory. Instead of defending predictably, he ordered constant changes in human tactics. Ships that had been defending orbital platforms suddenly became attack squadrons. Ground forces that had been holding positions launched surprise offensives. The effect on the Vorthak forces was devastating. Every time they adapted to human tactics, those tactics changed. Their commanders spent more time arguing about strategy than fighting. The turning point came when Captain Mi-Young Kang's stealth destroyer successfully infiltrated the enemy fleet formation. Her mission was not to attack ships, but to plant something much more dangerous: doubt. Using captured Vorthak communication codes, her team began broadcasting false orders throughout the enemy fleet. Ships received orders to attack positions that did not exist. Commanders got contradictory instructions from multiple sources. "Admiral Vex is ordering us to retreat," reported one Vorthak captain. "Negative," replied another. "I have orders from Fleet Command to advance immediately." "That is impossible. Fleet Command ordered us to hold position until reinforcements arrive." The confusion spread through the Vorthak fleet like a virus. Ships began moving in different directions. Some commanders stopped following orders entirely, deciding to act on their own judgment. Threx watched his carefully planned battle formations fall apart. "What is happening to our fleet organization?" "The humans have infiltrated our communication system," Admiral Vex explained coldly. "They are feeding false information to our ships. This is what happens when you underestimate primitive species." "Primitive? They have defeated half our forces." "Exactly my point. We should have brought the entire Imperial fleet from the beginning." While the Vorthak commanders argued, Admiral Bay launched his coordinated attack. Human ships struck from multiple directions simultaneously. The confused enemy formations could not coordinate their defense. Lieutenant Quan led her fighter squadron through gaps in the Vorthak defensive screen. Her target was one of their command ships, a massive vessel that coordinated their ground forces. "Beginning attack run," she reported. Enemy fighters moving to intercept. The battle that followed became known as the Thunder Run. Quan's squadron fought through waves of enemy fighters, losing half their ships but reaching their target. The command ship's destruction left thousands of Vorthak ground troops without coordination or supply. On the planet's surface, Major Han immediately took advantage of the confusion. His Marines launched attacks on every Vorthak position simultaneously. Without support from space, the alien strongholds began falling one by one. "Sir, we've retaken the New Sol spaceport," reported one of his officers. "Enemy forces are retreating to their main landing zone." But the most important victory came from an unexpected source. Dr. Lim had been working on something that would change the entire nature of the war. A way to turn the Vorthak's own technology against them. "The virus is ready," she announced to the command staff. "If we can get it into their main computer network, it will disable every Vorthak ship in the system." "How do we deliver it?" "Captain Kang's stealth ship. She'll need to get close enough to their flagship to upload the virus directly." It was the most dangerous mission of the war. Mi-Young's ship had to penetrate the heart of the enemy fleet and survive long enough to complete the upload. "I'll need a distraction," she told Admiral Kim. "Something big enough to keep all their attention focused elsewhere." The distraction came in the form of a massive human assault on the main Vorthak formation. Every available ship attacked at once, making the enemy think this was humanity's final desperate gamble. While the space battle raged, Mi-Young guided her invisible ship through the chaos. Enemy vessels passed close enough for her crew to see individual Vorthak soldiers through the windows. "Target acquired," she whispered, as Threx's flagship appeared ahead. "Beginning upload sequence." The computer virus spread through the Vorthak network like wildfire. One by one, enemy ships began shutting down. Weapons stopped firing. Engines went dead. "Life support systems failed. What is happening?" Threx demanded as his own ship's systems began failing. "Complete system failure across the fleet," Krex reported. "All our ships are affected. We are defenseless." Admiral Vex stared at his tactical displays in disbelief. In 30 years of commanding fleets, he had never seen anything like this. An entire invasion force disabled by something they could not even see. "Order immediate evacuation of all ground forces," he commanded. "We must retreat while we still can." "With what ships?" Krex asked. "Nothing is working." As the Vorthak fleet drifted helplessly in space, Admiral Bay moved his ships into position around them. For the first time since the war began, humans had complete control of the battlefield. "This is Admiral Bay to the Vorthak fleet," he announced on all communication channels. "You have two choices. Surrender immediately or be destroyed where you sit." The silence that followed lasted for several minutes. Then slowly, Threx's voice came over the communication system. We surrender."